vague because I still don't know what the herpes slap is. That's my only question, so just vague to that, if you wouldn't mind.
Let me lay a foundation.
Thank you so much.
Very early on in your relationship, John found a bottle of Valtrex pills, correct?
No, that is incorrect.
L-lysine pills?
Lysine, yes.
And then later on, he found a tube of some type of herpes cream?
No.
What was the tube?
I don't know what you're referring to.
You had herpes and communicated that to John, not communicated, like told that to John, gave it, transmitted that to John?
There's no proof that that actually happened.
Okay, but he didn't have open sores before he was sleeping with you, and he told you that he did several months later.
Yes.
And that was in November of 2013?
I'm not sure of the exact date.
Was that just about 3 days after what we're referring to as the abortion tattoo incident?
I'm not sure of the exact dates on those either, but I'm sure they were around the same time.
If I told you that the tattoo incident was on November 13th and the herpes slap was on November 16th, would you have a quarrel with that?
My objection,
2013?
I apologize. My objection is the same because I don't know what the herpes slap is because she said that she doesn't know what the slap is. So that's my objection, not when it happened. I don't know what a slap is.
I sure can.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I sure can. When you thought about John, you having given herpes to John, or John's claim that you had given herpes to him, did you guys slap each other?
No, we did not.
Did John slap you?
No.
Okay, John moves into the Bronies' house in, you said December of 2013?
I believe so.
And when does he move back? You said he moved back to San Diego before moving back in with you?
I'm not sure if he moved directly in with me or moved back to San Diego first.
So then it's fair to say he may not have moved back to San Diego until May?
He always had a place there for his probation purposes.
Objection, move to strike.
Jury will disregard the last statement. It is stricken.
Thank you. On what date, you understand what I mean when I say the sushi kidnap?
Yes, I do.
On what date did that happen?
It was either, I believe it was February.
Of 2014?
Yes.
Early, late?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure exactly.
Were there any dates around it that you can use to guide your memory?
I can't directly pinpoint it.
Did John appear on the Joe Rogan show in February of 2014?
I'm not sure when he did.
Was the sushi kidnap, but he did?
He did, yes.
Okay. Was the sushi kidnap before or after that?
Objection, Your Honor. I apologize. When we say this sushi kidnap, is that the Boulevard Mall incident?
Well, that's what you refer to it as.
Okay, I'm just asking if
Yes.
they're two of the same thing, so
Yes,
the
it
witness
is.
knows.
We had clarified that earlier.
Okay, thank you.
We call the incidents different things.
That's fine. You can, as long as she understands what you're referring to.
And you do, right?
Yes, I do.
understand?
Yes.
Okay.
Wait,
So-
come on up.
I think for ease, we're going to call it the Boulevard Mall incident, okay?
Yes.
So, I think the last question I asked you, and I don't remember if I got an answer, was this before or after the Joe Rogan show?
Yes, I don't know.
Do you recall the date that John broke his back or harmed his back?
I have no idea.
Do you have a quarrel with the fact that it's late February?
If you say so.
Did he, all right, we established earlier that he had to miss his fight. He had to limit his workouts in that time or couldn't work out in that time?
I believe he still worked out, but I wasn't in attendance for his workout, so I wouldn't know what they entail.
Right, so he didn't talk to you about how limited they were or?
Not that I would recall.
And did he talk to you about working out for the purposes of rehabilitation?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
And do you recall whether he was prescribed steroids at that time to help him heal?
No. He was on steroids much longer before that.
Well, he had a severe knee injury in December, is that correct?
I don't remember.
You remember him having a knee injury?
I don't.
All right, when you say much earlier, December, clearly he was on steroids?
Through our entire relationship.
Do you recall John getting, you know what an epidural is? A shot in the back for pain?
Yes, he did.
Do you recall when that was?
I don't know when it was, but I remember him doing that.
Do you quarrel with the fact that it was March 25th?
If you say so.
Well, does that sound reasonable in the time frame?
I would have no idea when it was.
Josh Ibarra's birthday party was around March of 2014 or April?
I don't remember Josh's birthday.
Did you go to a party for Josh's birthday?
I'm not sure that Josh had a birthday party that year.
Did you go over his house and bring presents to the kid and you saw a picture yesterday of John playing PlayStation on the couch?
Yes, I go over to the house very frequently. I used to in this time.
And that was at the Ibarra's house?
Yes.
When was the incident with the, and I don't know if you're confused by snake incidents. When I talk about the snake, it's either the snake choke or the snake water incident, whatever you choose to think of it. When was that?
I'm not sure exactly when that was. I want to say it was getting warmer outside, just based on what I was wearing.
So March or April?
Possibly.
And your birthday is May 9th?
Yes, it is.
And when did the Houston incident occur?
Around my birthday.
Before or after?
I'm not sure if it was before or after.
And you said you were both working in Houston and seeing a friend?
No, I wasn't working.
On your birthday, you went to Benihana's with John and a few other people?
I don't remember.
You broke up at the end of May, John left you?
Yes, I believe so.
And was that the time that he stayed for a week after the breakup and then moved out?
Yes.
And on June 7th, you met Corey Thomas through Twitter?
It wasn't Twitter, it was,
I'm sorry, Tinder.
yes.
And then June 14th, a week later, you went to San Diego with Corey Thomas?
I don't remember the dates, but yes.
And you ran into one of John's friends in Pacific Beach?
I don't remember running into any of his friends.
At some point in July, you began talking to John on the phone
Yes.
and kind of work things out.
Yes.
And that was before Corey came to meet you in San Francisco, correct?
I believe so, yes.
All right. And then immediately after San Francisco, you went down to San Diego to be with John?
I'm not sure on the dates. I don't know if it was immediately after, but it was in the days following, yes.
And then I think we established through that series of direct messages on Twitter, a couple days after you saw John in early, I guess the week of July 21st or so, John came to Las Vegas?
I thought I was in San Diego at that time, and then he came after that to Vegas.
Was there a sequence of events where you went to San Diego right after San Francisco, then a couple days later John came to Las Vegas, then a couple days later you went to San Diego, a couple days later John came back to Las Vegas, and then a couple days after that was August 8th?
I don't recall traveling back and forth that many times in that time period.
Well, you would have gone straight from San Francisco and then once back to San Diego, and then once back and forth from Las Vegas to San Diego.
I feel like I just went to San Diego one time. I'm not absolutely positive though.
What we refer to as the ferret incident or the laundry room incident, when did that take place?
It was either at the end of July or beginning of August.
Were you in San Diego when Phil Baroni fought? Did you guys go to a Phil Baroni fight?
I remember going to a fight with him, but I don't remember whose fight it was.
But that was at the end of July in San Diego?
I'm not sure on the dates, but yes, it wasn't in San Diego, it was in Temecula, I believe.
Okay, fair enough. The snake water incident, would that have occurred before or after John broke his back? Well, let me ask you the question a different way. Was John living with you at the time of the snake water incident?
I believe he was.
All right, and he broke his back while he was still living, or ruptured his back while he was still living with the Baronis?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Did you have sex with John soon after the laundry room incident?
In the days following, yes, I'm sure I did.
In the same day?
And that was late at night. I don't believe we had sex after that.
You testified prior that that incident occurred in early July.
It was sometime in July. Or August, I'm not sure exactly.
You were with Corey at that time, right?
I wouldn't say I was with Corey.
You were seeing Corey rather regularly?
In the beginning of July?
Yes.
Yes.
Did you tell Corey about the laundry room incident?
I wasn't, it wouldn't have happened yet.
Well, you were with Corey all the way up until August 8th, no? He was in your bed when this incident began, correct?
That's correct.
Did you tell him about it?
No, I never told him about it.
the incident involving the laundry room would have happened before August 8th, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Did that incident leave marks?
I don't believe so.
I want to talk to you a little bit about the rape fantasies, and I apologize if this is uncomfortable. Testified about kind of rules and guidelines about the rape fantasy.
Yes.
All right. And you said yesterday you weren't certain how that was communicated to John?
That's correct.
Do you recall testifying earlier at the preliminary, not at the preliminary hearing, at the evidentiary hearing 2 months ago that this occurred all over text message?
I said yesterday I wasn't exactly sure if it was text message or verbal. It could have been both.
Do you disagree that you testified 2 months ago that it was all via text message?
I do not disagree.
And you were under oath on January 5th when you testified?
That is correct.
Under penalty of perjury?
And that is correct.
And I'm sorry, you said you didn't disagree that you said that?
I don't disagree that I said it was through text message, but it could have also been inclusive
Okay,
of.
well, do you want to see the transcript or refresher recollection of what was said?
Okay.
1 second. Is the transcript
Yes.
21, 9:15? All right, I'm sorry. All right, I apologize on this.
Oh, it's not the dark areas?
Well, I don't know who did this. You can look at line 14 and 15.
Okay, so I obviously did say it in text messages, though we may have spoken about it.
Well, on that date, you were supposed to give true, complete, and accurate answers, correct?
Objection argumented.
Do you know when these texts were sent?
I do not recall.
And they were sent to John at his cell phone number, correct?
They would have been.
How did you describe it to him, how you would have liked it to happen?
I don't recall exactly what I would have said.
Part of the fantasy would have been the element of surprise, correct?
Well, along with rape fantasy or role play, there is communication, consent, and safety. And those are all aspects that we would need to go over if something were to come to fruition. I may not have gone that in depth in the text messages, but had we decided to act this out or, continue to move forward on this, fetishization, we would have discussed it further.
You would agree part of the idea behind rape is surprise?
Yes, that is correct.
How did John respond to the idea of the rape fantasy?
Well, we obviously never acted it out, so I don't remember how exactly he reacted.
Well, did he seem disgusted by it and no, I would never do that?
No. I don't believe he would ever say anything like that sexually ever.
Right, he would,
He's very open-minded.
yeah, I think he would, it's fair to say he would be game for anything like that.
Yes.
Did you ever pick a safe word?
No, we did not go that far.
You testified yesterday that you didn't want to ruin the fantasy by laying out rules and guidelines. Do you recall saying that?
I don't recall saying that.
Part of what you like is to be choked?
Sexually?
Yes.
Yes, I do request to be choked.
I'm going to, moving to 503.
No objection.
503 is admitted.
This is a duplicate of a different exhibit, but be able to see this?
Yes, I am.
What's going on in the picture?
This is a snake trying to get warm
How's it trying to get warm?
by using my body heat.
Where is it trying to use your body heat?
It is wrapped around my neck and my arm.
It looks like it's choking you.
This is not actually a constrictor. This is a leucistic Texas rat snake.
I understand that. I didn't ask what it was. I asked, does it look
Objection,
like?
argumentative.
It is around my neck, yes.
How many times do you believe John choked you to unconsciousness?
At least 3. I'm sorry, do you mean sexually or non?
Sexually.
Sexually, at least 3.
And when you woke up, he would still be going at it.
Yes.
And you testified that choking would have been part of the rape fantasy?
It could have been if I had requested it.
Do you recall that earlier you testified that choking was not part of the rape fantasy? That would be in the preliminary hearing back in November of 2013?
May I have a page reference, please?
23 lines 1 and 2. Do you want to see that transcript?
I trust you. I trust that.
All right, regarding,
I apologize. Page 23 of the preliminary hearing?
That's what you said.
that is what I said. May I have a second?
Yeah, that's Mr. Thomas.
She said July 2007. So that would be 23, 1 and 2. Let me check it.
Judge, the parties are going to stipulate that the hearing aid does not say that.
Not at that part.
Okay, so the referenced portion of the transcript doesn't say that. If you find something else, you can bring it up.
Will do. All right, regarding August 8th, you testified that yesterday that you had no idea how long it was from the first hit until you got away. Said it was at least 1 hour.
Yes.
And later on, through reading reports and such, were you able to develop a timeline externally, meaning through what people told you?
Well, you told me earlier the 911 call was at 1:55. So shortly after that, he began hitting me. So I believe probably 2:10-ish. until the first neighbor called 911, shortly before that.
Okay, but at the time you believed it was at least an hour?
Yes.
Now, you've made, well, what was John wearing
When? That night?
that night?
He was wearing a white t-shirt from his company.
And,
I don't remember what color his shorts were anymore. Or if they were even shorts, or he could possibly be wearing jeans.
do you recall whether you've variously described them as gray or white shorts?
I apologize, I don't recall now what the color was.
Or if they were jeans?
I have no idea anymore.
And I take it by the fact that you've used the timestamp on the 911 call. You don't recall specifically what time John showed up at your house on August 8th?
Within 10 to 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes before the 911 call.
Okay, but you're using that 1:55 time as...
Yes, that's
as
my
your
marker,
reference?
yes.
Okay. And had I not told you the 1:55, you wouldn't have known what time?
No, I would not.
And can you remember what John said when he first entered?
I don't remember.
You had testified previously that he screamed at Corey for about 30 seconds. That sound consistent with your memory?
Can I have a page number, please?
That's in the voluntary statement. She didn't give me a page number. It's also in the criminal transcript. Do you recall whether John was yelling at Corey for 30 seconds prior to anything happening?
I know that he was yelling at them. I don't recall for how long or what exactly was said.
30 seconds sound about reasonable?
Possibly.
Objection, Judge asked me answer that she doesn't know. It's speculation.
It's not that she was able to
Overall.
answer the question. Thank you. And I'm sorry, when you said you can't remember what was said, that was with respect to both John and Corey?
Yes, that's correct.
It's okay if I call Mr. Thomas Corey?
Yes.
And you also said you don't believe you lost consciousness, but you're having trouble remembering the first part?
If you're still going by the voluntary statement that I gave in the hospital?
Well, let me ask you this. Did you testify to that multiple times? Or do you remember just saying it at the voluntary statement?
I remember those being my exact words in the voluntary statement, but I didn't remember the first hit. I didn't remember when I had first spoken. I was still trying to put together a timeline. I didn't know exactly had I lost consciousness or had I not.
Do you recall the doctors, if they did, like diagnosing you with some slight amnesia?
I don't believe they did. I'm not sure.
Were you told whether or not you had a concussion?
I don't remember that conversation happening. I don't know.
If you know, do you believe that you had trouble putting together a timeline and a memory because of the sort of excitement and stress of the incident, or because of the punching? Or both?
It could have possibly been both, but I believe it was just the hitting.
So as you sit there today, do you know whether you lost consciousness?
I believe I did.
And you said you don't know how you got into the shower,
That is correct.
but you're certain it was John that either undressed you or commanded you to undress?
Yes.
You don't know how long you were in the shower?
I do not know.
After you got out of the shower, you said you were down on all fours on the marble. I don't know, there's like a piece of marble right outside the shower.
That's not the first thing I remember, but at some point I was there.
Gunner previously admitted states 58.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Does this depict the base of the shower with the marble?
Yes, it does.
And I know it's difficult through this picture. I don't want to take another half an hour trying to find something. Do you know if there was blood all over the marble?
I'm not sure.
After you put the dogs out, you came back in and were yelling, "John, stop." Is that a fair statement?
Yes.
Where were you standing in relation to John and Corey at that point?
I was in the space between my bedroom and bathroom.
Your Honor, previously admitted states 21.
Go ahead.
Thank you. You familiar with the term pony wall?
I am not.
Let's call it a little wall.
Okay.
In between this little wall and this little wall?
Yes.
So perhaps up a little higher?
Yes.
All right, so actually where I'm pointing right now, is that about right?
A little further down.
Can
May
you touch it?
I? In this area, I'd say.
Okay. And then you must have had a bullseye view when this hole was created. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Your Honor, states 33.
Go ahead.
And just on this, can you see that it's kind of a little, I don't know, shield shaped with the point at the bottom?
Yes, I can see that.
So then 33 would be that picture taken sideways,
Yes.
the point to the left side?
Mhm.
And what does this appear to be over here?
That
Sorry,
appears.
counsel, my clerk is telling me that Exhibit 33 wasn't previously admitted. Are you offering it?
I am.
Is there any
No.
objection? It's admitted now. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. I asked you if you were aware of what this was.
That appears to be blood.
Do you believe it to be your blood?
No, it is not mine.
Whose blood do you believe it to be?
I believe it's John's.
Did you notice any injuries on John the night of the incident?
I didn't notice any injuries, but
Can you
I
tell me about
noticed.
one?
I noticed him hit his head on the mirrors above my bed.
Is states 19 into evidence? Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you. Pointing to what appears to me to be a series of mirrors.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Where on the mirror do you believe he hit?
I don't recall.
I'm going to come back to this in a sec. You said you fled when you believed John was going to get a knife from downstairs and finish the job.
That is correct.
States 13. What do you refer to this as?
A butcher's block, knife block.
And have you previously referred to it as a butcher's block?
I'm not sure exactly what I've referred to it
All
as.
right. I'll ask you to refer to it as a butcher's block. Other people in the trial have done so.
Okay.
Okay. These steak knives were in this portion of the butcher's block where I'm pointing to the left on the bottom?
I'm not sure where all of my knives were.
Okay. Pointing to a lone blade, what does that appear to be?
A knife blade.
Any significance to that particular detached blade?
I don't know if that was the blade that is used on me or one that is broken off another one.
Have you seen pictures of a sole knife handle in your bathroom?
Yes, I have.
Does this appear to match the sole knife handle?
Yes, it does.
All right. I'm pointing to a larger knife. Is there anything physically, I guess mechanically, wrong with the larger knife?
I'm not sure.
Any reason it couldn't do the job of stabbing you?
I don't know why someone couldn't stab another person with that knife.
So it wasn't broken or anything like that?
It doesn't appear to be broken.
Counsel, can you come up for just a second? Sorry to interrupt.
Oh, okay. Okay. I'd asked you a question before regarding prior testimony about rape fantasy at the evidentiary hearing 8 weeks ago.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. And you said you didn't quarrel with me, but we needed to actually have foundation on it, man. Sure. Right.
Oh, sorry, Mr. Lindeman, you might want this page.
Right. And so you agree, you said question and choking yourself to the point of unconsciousness, is that not at all part of your rape fantasy, and answer not for a rape fantasy?
You had asked me just about general choking. You didn't say to the point of unconsciousness.
No, I asked you about it with respect to a rape fantasy.
Yes, but I'm sorry, can you read that to me again?
Sure. Why don't I let you look at it? May I approach?
Yes.
So you can start over here. Those are the questions you're talking about.
Where's the rape fantasy part?
Last line. And then it goes to the top of the next page.
Just now when you had asked me, you asked me about choking, and you said that I said that choking might be a thing that I would do if I had requested in a rape fantasy, but here it says choking to the point of unconsciousness.
Okay.
So you were saying that I was incorrect. You're saying that I would never want to be I'm sorry, you're saying that I would say that I would never want to be choked?
Unconscious.
You didn't include the unconscious when you just asked me.
When I did when I asked you earlier.
When you just asked me the question?
No, I asked you this, we passed this for a moment because we couldn't find the section.
Yes, and you said that, that I would rule out choking in any regards in a rape fantasy, but that specifically states choking unconscious, which I disagreed with.
People's 51, State's 51.
Mr. Lee,
Any of them that have a red sticker on them are admitted?
Yeah, I see, I just making sure.
Okay.
Okay. That appears to be what?
Pardon?
That appears to be what?
That is a knife handle?
Does that appear to be consistent with the piece of the knife from Exhibit 13?
It does.
Are you aware of another knife that was broken that evening?
I am not.
And did you see John break the knife while cutting up the legs?
Now I don't recall exactly when the knife was broken.
Okay, and then 55 does not have a red sticker. Actually, you know what? It's not. I can go back to. I think I can just go back to. Never mind. Stipulated?
yes, please.
All right.
55 is admitted.
Thank you. So looking then over here, that's the marble outside the bathtub again, yes?
Outside of the shower, yes.
I'm sorry, outside of the shower. Bathtub's actually not in the bathroom proper, right?
That is correct.
All right, and then these are your wigs?
It looks like it's only 2 of the wigs.
These are wigs?
Yes, they are wigs.
All right, and they're yours?
Yes, they are.
All right. And this again is the other knife that I had showed you earlier?
Yes, this is a knife that you have shown me.
And it had, would you say gray hairs on it?
Yes.
All right. And then do you recall John going downstairs a third time for knives?
I only recall him going downstairs one time for knives.
And you only had that one knife upstairs, the one that you would use to cut open UPS boxes?
I'm not sure. When the knives would become rusty, I would use them to open packages.
People, States 178. I know you don't live there anymore, but this is Tonus Circle. Is this your old house where I'm pointing to?
Yes, it looks like it.
Alrighty. And you're saying you went out the back where I'm pointing onto the golf course?
Yes.
And then to, is it this house with the red roof?
I went to my neighbor's house first and went over their fence and knocked on their door first.
The next door neighbor?
Yes.
Okay, so then you went down the street like I'm pointing.
Yes, I followed along the houses, so if he went onto the street, he wouldn't see me.
Do you know if John was cutting up your wigs while you were in the shower?
I don't recall.
You recall him yelling at you while you were in the shower?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall what things he was saying?
I don't remember now.
You can't remember how long you were in the shower?
I'm not sure.
You believe yourself to have been wearing shorts?
Yes, they were small shorts and then a white, not white, a gray, flowy gym top.
I'm not sure what that is, but okay.
It was in the picture next to the wigs.
This?
Yes.
Okay. I know I'm a little bit out of order, but the dog's blanket, that's a blanket on your bed, correct?
It wasn't on the bed, it was on the floor.
That's a blanket that's typically on your bed for the dogs?
No, it was on the floor for the dogs to lay on also.
They also lay on your bed?
Typically they lay on my bed, but they can't be up there all the time.
So essentially both blankets are dog blankets at times?
All blankets are dog blankets.
And you don't recall, or you said you don't recall exactly what happened after the shower, is that fair?
I don't remember getting out of the shower.
And do you remember any specific blows to you after you got out of the shower?
While I was on the ground?
Yeah, or, well, when you were hit after the shower, or when you believe you were hit after the shower, at any point, do you remember being upright?
I don't remember standing.
All right, so then they would all have to be either on all fours or when you were on your back, correct?
Correct.
All right, so do you remember any specific hits?
I can just remember after a hit feeling part of a tooth on my tongue. I remember after I tried to get on all fours, he kicked me in my side, which caused my ruptured liver. I remember...
You mean you're lacerated?
yes, I'm sorry, lacerated. I remember anytime he would go through my phone and he would find things that he didn't like, he would hit me
Where?
in my face.
So how many times total did he hit you in the face?
I'm not sure.
You have tissues right there.
Oh, yeah, I'm fine, thank you.
This was more than just the two initial hits, though?
Yes.
Closed fist or open fist after the initial two?
I can't be sure how many of each hit there was.
And were you being hit with full force?
I don't know.
How many hits total to the face do you believe you sustained?
Objection has been answered.
It wasn't.
I can't be sure.
To your dog? More or less than 10?
I would say more than 10.
More or less than 20?
Probably less than 20.
If I were to split the difference at 15, more or less than 15?
I have no idea.
So we'll say somewhere between 10 and 20?
That's fair.
Other than the discussions about Twitter and Instagram, do you remember anything that was said?
Towards the end, I remember him telling me he had to kill me.
Do you remember saying anything to him?
After that?
Well, yeah, the question was vague as to time. How about in the shower? Well, not in the shower. You already said you didn't remember then after the shower.
At which point after the shower?
Like immediately after the shower, when you're still in the bathroom area.
I was in the bathroom area throughout the whole attack, but I don't remember getting out of the shower, so I don't remember what exactly would be said immediately after.
Where were you when, let me back up. John put the dog blanket on you because he thought you were cold.
I believed he thought I was cold.
And at that point, you were outside the bathroom by the bed, correct?
That is incorrect.
That's incorrect? You had a discussion with him significantly later on about going on vacation?
I wouldn't say significantly later on. It was still in the same night within the attack.
What I meant was after the bathroom, after the shower.
Towards the end of the attack, yes.
And I'd understood, and maybe I'm incorrect, that discussion occurred in the bedroom on the bed. Am I incorrect?
That is incorrect. I was never on the bed.
All right. So this occurred in the bathroom as well?
Yes.
And it was you telling him you should go on vacation, or him telling you?
It was me telling him.
And you thought that, you stated earlier today, you thought that bruise on your thigh was from one kick?
I don't know. I've stated that I don't know how many kicks or what all happened to my leg. I know at least one kick happened.
And you're positive that the laceration to your liver came from a kick to the side and not a punch to the stomach?
I'm sure.
When you went to erase your call log, John and Corey were still fighting, correct?
That is correct.
You could have run out of the house at that point, is that correct?
That is correct. I could have.
You could have called the police again at that point, is that correct?
I called the police one time and I figured that they would be on their way.
You didn't figure on them having the world's worst GPS system.
I really didn't. I didn't think that was going to be the thing.
And so I guess it's the same answer. When you erased your call log, it was because you didn't think you needed to call again.
I didn't want him to see that I had called the police in case he got to me before the police did.
So you were pretty sure he was going to go after you?
If he got to me before the police did, yes.
You testified yesterday that each hit earlier or prior in time, the other ones that you were talking about yesterday, from whenever they began after your relationship all the way up until prior to August 8th, were all with an open hand?
All the ones to my face, yes.
And on August 8th, some hits were with a closed fist, some open?
Yes.
And do you recall where on your body any of the open hits were to?
I don't recall now.
Were you hit on your back at all?
I don't believe so. I was laying on my back most of the time. When Mr. Copenhaver tried to wet his hand, you had testified that he had spit in his hand? I don't remember.
I'm sorry. You'd stated at some point that he had spit in his hand?
That he did have spit on his hand, yes.
And that was what you felt?
Yes.
Was it a good deal of moisture?
I don't recall.
Well, would you be able to tell the difference between just a lick's worth of saliva and a spit's worth of saliva?
I'm not sure, honestly. I wouldn't.
Okay, you say you don't do drugs or alcohol?
That is correct.
take NyQuil often?
Not very frequently.
You're aware that NyQuil is about a quarter alcohol?
I was not aware.
I believe offense 568 has not been previously admitted.
568.
No, it's
It
It's
isn't?
in.
Okay, go ahead.
So are you able to see, you see that all right?
Yes, I can see that.
All right, what does that appear to be?
Are you talking about,
The corner of the nightstand.
yes, that appears to be blood.
All right, you had said before you believed John had hurt the back of his head on the mirror behind your bed.
Yes, that's what I believe.
At some point, he and Corey were standing high enough up on your bed that he would get cut by the mirror.
He was on top of Corey beating him, and if he were to raise up, he would hit the back of his head on the mirror. You can't tell very well in the picture, but the mirrors come off the wall, and they stagger to a point, but they're anywhere between 4 to, I'd say, 6 inches off the wall.
Okay. So you wouldn't expect that John smashed the back of his head into your nightstand?
I wouldn't, they're very weak IKEA tables, and I feel it would have broken had someone put a lot of pressure or force against it,
What's this over here?
and that would be a break.
So again,
I'm not sure if he did his head on the table.
if it were to come out that this contribution was John's DNA, would that be consistent, inconsistent, or you just wouldn't know?
I wouldn't know.
What is this bottle here?
That appears to be lube.
And what is this here?
I'm not sure.
This is your side of the bed, correct?
Yes, that is my side of the bed.
And that's a little baggie,
Yes, it is.
and that's 2 pills inside,
It looks like it.
white pills.
Yes.
Are you aware that the medical records indicate that on your first tox screen at the hospital, you were positive for opiates?
I'm not even sure what opiates are.
Drugs, narcotics, say Vicodin, Percocet, Oxycontin, something in that family?
Did they take this test before or after I had already been,
After, well, before you were administered anything.
I'm not
I'm
sure.
gonna object as soon as that's not in evidence.
Overall, it's on cross, you can ask her.
I'm not sure what those would be from, what that would be from.
Are you denying,
I mean, come on up for just a second. Go ahead.
had you been, pardon me, you work out pretty vigorously, right?
Now I do.
Prior to August 8th?
I had been to the gym maybe 1 month, not directly before this, but in like May.
You were also taking pole dancing classes,
Yes, I was.
and you don't consider that part of the gym or anything?
Not typically, no.
Okay. Were you taking any type of other, I don't know, healthy classes, for lack of a more artful term?
Like any sort of
Like
activities?
like a spinning, yoga, I don't know, kickboxing, tai chi?
No, no.
Just pole dancing?
Yes.
Would you tend to suffer pain from pole dancing after the workout?
Not frequently.
Were you getting pain pills from one of your friends at that time?
Not that I can recall, no.
When John injured his knee in December, he had a drug called tramadol. You recall that?
I don't.
Do you recall taking a number of John's pills for your soreness at that time?
After he would hit me, sometimes I would ask for a pain pill.
So that's yes, you were taking them?
Sometimes, yes.
All right. And just lastly, are you fully made up here?
Yes.
And you can still see your tattoo?
What exhibit is that?
I'm sorry, this is People's 196, it's previously admitted.
Yes, you can still see my tattoo.
Nothing further.
Redirect.
Sorry, Ms. Mack, can you just give me 1 second to set up if you don't mind? I'm going to ask you a few questions in regards to this picture, and I think that you just discussed this, but States 57. This door that we see to the right of the stairs, is this the shower door?
Yes, it is.
And this gray tank top, is this the flowy tank top that you were wearing when the defendant broke into your home?
Yes, it is.
Mr. Lederman asked you some questions in regards to, I apologize, I thought it was smart. I think that states next. Mr. Lederman asked you some questions in regards to a statement you made on Twitter after the incident. Do you remember him asking you about those questions? And actually, when I say the incident, I need to be more clear, I apologize. After the incident in the early morning hours of August 8th, I don't know if it was while you were in the hospital or after the hospital, did you put a statement on Twitter regarding what happened?
In the days following, yes.
Okay. May I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
Showing you what's been marked for purposes of identification as States Proposed 255. Do you recognize this?
Yes, I do.
And what do you recognize it to be?
This is the statement I have made.
And is that a fair and accurate copy of the statement that you put on Twitter?
Yes, it appears to be so.
Okay, Your Honor, I move to admit into evidence States Proposed 255.
Any objection?
That's okay.
So is there an objection or not?
No, there isn't.
It's admitted.
Thank you. Would you please read it?
At around 2 a.m. Friday morning, John Copenhaver arrived unannounced at my home in Las Vegas, Nevada. After he broke up with me in May, he moved out of my house and back to San Diego. When he arrived, he found myself and one other fully clothed and unarmed in the house. Without a single word spoken, he began beating my friend. Once he was finished, he sent my friend away and turned his attention to me. He made me undress and shower in front of him, and then dragged me out and beat my face. I have no recollection of how many times I was hit. I just know my injuries that resulted from my beating. My injuries include 18 broken bones around my eyes. My nose is broken in 2 places. I am missing teeth and several more are broken. I am unable to chew or see out of my left eye. My speech is slurred from my swelling and lack of teeth. I have a fractured rib and severely ruptured liver from kick to my side. My leg is so badly injured I have not been able to walk on my own. I also sustained several lesions from a knife he got from my kitchen. He pushed the knife into me in some areas, and such as my hand, ear, and head. He also sawed much of my hair off with a dull knife. After some time, the knife broke off at the handle, and he continued to threaten me with the blade. I believed I was going to die. He has beaten me many times before, but never this badly. He took my phone and canceled all of my plans for the following week to make sure no one would worry about my whereabouts. He told me he was going to rape me, but was disappointed in himself when he could not get hard. After another hit or two, he left me on the floor bleeding and shaking, holding my side from the pain of my rib. He left the room and went to the kitchen, where I could hear him rifling through my drawers. Assuming he was finding a sharper, more stable knife to end my life, I ran out my back door, shutting it behind me so that the dogs didn't run inside to tip him off. I hopped the fence to the golf course behind my house and ran to a neighboring house. Naked and afraid he would catch me, I kept running through the neighborhood, knocking on doors. Finally, one answered, and I was brought to the hospital and treated for my injuries. I would like to thank everyone for their support throughout this tough time. I am healing fast and well. I appreciate all the prayers and visits I have received over the past few days. After many months of fear and pressure to keep this man happy, although I fear for my life, I feel that I can no longer put myself in this situation. The cheating by him nearly every day and almost weekly abuse is now more than I can stand. There is a $10,000 reward for the capture of Jonathan Copenhaver at this time. Please report any information to your local police.
And that's the statement you posted on Twitter?
Yes, it is.
You have said yesterday on Direct and I think today on Cross is that there's, as far as the things you don't remember how you got into the shower or how you got out of the shower. Is that fair?
That's correct.
But you remember the rest of the things that you've discussed pretty much for now 5 or 6 hours?
Yes.
There were some questions in regards to, what would make the defendant angry. Was there usually a reason for his anger, like you had done something or someone had tweeted something, or are you just driving along in the car and out of nowhere he just has an outburst?
There was always a trigger.
And you stated that early on the abuse was happening once a month and it then escalated to weekly?
Yes, that is correct.
In regards to the steroids that the defendant was using, were those legal or illegal?
I believe he had a prescription for the testosterone, but everything else that he was using would have been illegal.
Did you ever see him take them?
Yes, I did.
Was he taking them orally? Were they injected?
I would see him inject himself,
And where would he inject himself?
usually in the arm.
This was asked and answered on Direct.
I apologize, I didn't remember that asking him.
But
In regards to your statement, you and Mr. Thomas, were you both clothed in the bed?
Yes.
Are you embarrassed or ashamed at all in regards to your tattoos?
Not at all.
Have you tried to purposefully hide them from anyone while you've been in court?
No, I have not.
Your left arm is, the jury is to your left, is that correct?
That is correct.
And your left arm is almost all completely tattooed, is that right?
That is correct.
And then to the left of your neck, you have a pretty good sized neck tattoo.
Yes.
And then I can see from here your heart tattoo. Have you done anything to try to conceal those?
No, I have not.
You testified on cross-examination that there was a GoFundMe, would that be called a website, like a GoFundMe page?
Yes.
And who set that up?
It was another girl in the adult industry.
And I think you testified that it raised $100,000?
Yes.
Did you receive that money?
It went into my bank account and I donated it to several different charities afterwards.
Did you get any of the money?
I did not keep any of the money.
Yeah, that's a better question. Did you keep any of the money for yourself?
No, I did not.
You discussed, you were asking questions in regards to pre-trials that you had with the district attorney's office. In any of those pre-trials, whether it was 3 times that you met, but let me put it this way, before every hearing.
You're talking about pre-trial meeting?
Pre-trial meetings, yes. Before pre-trial conferences, strike all of that. Before like a preliminary hearing or an evidentiary hearing or trial, each time have you met with the state before that?
Yes.
In any of those times, has the state ever coached you to testify a certain way?
No, they have not.
Told you what to say?
No.
Has the state explained to you the one rule in court?
Just to always tell the truth.
The emojis that we were talking about, did you create that app?
No, I did not create the app.
Who created that?
It's from a third-party applications manager, I guess you would say.
Okay. Did you have say in like the web design, in the app design or anything like that?
I gave a little bit of input as to, like, I would like dogs and otters and things like that to be put in there, multiple hairstyles, things like that.
Okay. In regards to the apps, the emoji, there's several emojis under that app, is that correct?
Yes, quite a few.
And Mr. Lederman only showed you about 2. One of them was you with bruises on your face. You remember that one?
Yes, I do.
And then there was one with you like making it rain with money.
Yes.
Are those 2 emojis connected in any way? Does that question make sense?
It makes sense, and no, they are not.
Okay, so the emoji with the bruises is not connected to the emoji showing you making money.
Not at all.
And Mr. Lederman asked something about there was a pit bull and it was purple, and there was some type of reason for that. Can you explain that?
Yes, there is a purple pit bull. There are several different emojis that you can use in this app to alert your friends or family members, somebody that the domestic abuse is going on in your household.
Okay. And I wanted to ask you a question in regards to your tweet that you just read. You said that, I can't remember your exact words, if it was the defendant said he was going to rape me or he wanted to rape me. Or I thought he was going to rape me.
He told me he was going to rape me.
Okay, and you said something like, luckily he did not.
Yes.
When you said, luckily he didn't rape me, what did you mean by that statement?
That he couldn't get hard enough to penetrate me.
As in his penis in your vagina?
Yes.
At that time, did you know that someone rubbing your vagina past the big lips is considered rape legally?
No, I had no idea.
And last question about sexual assault. I apologize. I know you've answered so many questions. When you discussed the Houston incident, when you said after the defendant rubbed your vagina, he then got on top of you and started kind of, your words were dry humping you.
Yes.
During that time period, did his penis go in your vaginal hole?
No, it did not.
Did it go beyond your vaginal lips?
Yes.
You were asked some questions about putting Cleopatra and Patrick Swayze out as soon as the defendant came in and he and Corey the defendant started attacking Corey.
Yes.
Do you remember those questions?
Yes.
If you had to choose between your own safety or your dog's safety, who would you choose?
I would choose my dogs.
I asked you yesterday if you had an affinity for animals and you said yes, but that probably doesn't quite explain your love for animals.
No, that's fair.
Do you like them more than you like people?
Yes, very much so.
Are you more comfortable around animals than you are around people?
Yes, I am.
You had said that the reason why you put them out was because you were afraid that John was going to hurt one of them.
Yes.
And Mr. Lederman asked you if John had punched Cleopatra after she had bit a neighbor. Do you remember that question?
He asked if the incident with him punching Swayze had happened after she bit the neighbor, but I believe that Cleopatra was the one that bit the neighbor, but he had punched Swayze at a different time.
Okay, so when he punched Swayze, when Mr. Copenhaver punched Swayze, was that at all related to anything having to do with your neighbors?
No, not at all.
How was that? How did that come about?
Which part?
Sorry, that he punched Patrick Swayze.
Oh, he was standing outside in the back, and Swayze was growling at him through the window, and that made him angry, so he hit my dog.
Did he hit like the open hand or punch?
He punched my dog.
Okay. You know, been shown several text messages by both myself and Mr. Lederman. But in all the text messages you have seen between you and Mr. Copenhaver on August 7th, through those text messages, was it your understanding that he would not be coming until, at the very earliest, the later part of the evening on August 8th?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you have any way of knowing he would be coming when he did?
No, he had told me that he was going to be coming much later.
After this whole thing happened, did he tweet several times that he was actually on his way to surprise you?
Yes.
Did you ever find an engagement ring or a ring anywhere in your home after you got back?
No, I did not.
The picture with the defendant having his arm, kind of around your neck and biting your ear.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know which picture I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Was that the picture that was taken from a Hustler shoot?
Yes, it is.
The first time you guys met?
Yes.
So that wasn't a personal picture?
No.
You had stated that you did not believe any of the blood was going to be the defendant's. Why did you think that?
Because neither of us had attacked him. He was only attacking us.
What was the tweet that Mr. Lederman showed you? It was to like Garden of Life Rot, said something like, in the old country we didn't make idle threats. What was that?
I can't remember what was said before that, but it was just a joke. Somebody, I would love to remember the context, but I don't exactly remember the context right now. But it was definitely just a joke.
Mr. Lederman showed you a picture, and it's Exhibit 556, but I don't want to have to go through. Okay, no worries. I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, I'm just gonna explain it so we can save time. But there was a screenshot of a computer, and it was black and white, and it had the pictures from the Boulevard incident. There was two pictures of the Boulevard incident.
Yes, I recall.
And in the top of it, on the computer, it said Mac Pictures. That was not a picture of your computer, correct?
No, that's correct.
And on the bottom of it, it said, if you remember, at the bottom of the picture of your face, it said 4 days after car incident.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the tooth, it said after car incident.
Yes.
Did you name those photos, or?
No, I did not.
So whoever input them in those photos would have to have known about the car incident?
Yes.
Did you ever do anything nefarious with NyQuil, like try to get drunk?
No, I didn't.
Why? What was the deal with the NyQuil?
I would take NyQuil when I needed NyQuil.
Like, because you're sick?
Yeah.
Okay. Not trying to get drunk off NyQuil?
No, no.
If you want to
I feel like there are easier ways to get drunk than NyQuil.
Mr. Lederman asked you about a time frame in regards to the beating on August 8th. You said you thought it lasted at least an hour.
Yes, that was correct.
And you said that the police, from hearing us speak in court, that the 911 call started at 1:55 a.m.
Yes.
And if the first calls from the neighbor came in at 4:02 a.m., would that make the beating closer to 2 hours?
Yes, that was correct.
You just saw a picture of the knife block with the knives kind of scattered around it.
Yes.
Do you know what picture I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Were those knives scattered in your kitchen like that when you went to bed that night?
No, I don't believe they were.
Now, I believe you testified earlier, you kept a few knives up in your room. Is that right?
At least one, yes. When they became rusty, I would just use them to open up packages and cut tags.
And as part of your business, you actually get quite a bit of UPS or Amazon packages delivering materials.
Yes, that's correct.
When the defendant left you after telling you he had to kill you, did he leave with the knife?
I only know that he left with the 2 phones.
Okay. showing you states 198 and 199, which I should have put in earlier, and I apologize. Do you recognize these photos of you?
Yes, I do.
Were these taken after the incident on August 8th?
Yes, they were.
Are they fair and accurate depictions of what you look like?
Yes.
Your Honor, at this time I move to admit into evidence states proposed 198 and 199.
Any objection?
No.
They're admitted.
And permission to publish.
Go ahead.
Thank you. In just 1 second, Your Honor. Court. Showing you 199. Was this the picture that you took after you'd been recuperating?
Yes, it is.
And showing you 198. Is this a picture of you in the hospital?
Yes, it is.
At this point, your eyes were swollen shut. You stated you could see through maybe a slit in the right eye.
Yes, in my right eye, I could open it a little bit.
Was it worth it?
I'm sorry, was...
All those Twitter followers you got and all those Instagram followers, was it worth it?
I wouldn't want to do that. I would not want to almost die for a few followers.
Nothing further.
Recross?
Who would approach?
Yeah, come on up.
Okay, we're gonna try to do this real quick. You okay?
Yes, yes, I'm fine, thank you.
Let me start with the last thing. I understand you wouldn't trade what happened to you for Twitter followers or Instagram followers. However, you would admit that your sales have increased on your website since the time of this incident.
Most of that, I would argue to say, has nothing to do with this exact incident. I'm very good at social networking. I understand when to post. I understand algorithms and how people interact on social networking. So a lot of that I would like to attribute to my own networking skills.
And are you able to affix a number to which you attribute to your networking skills as opposed to your, I know you don't want to call it fame, but did you say public image yesterday or something like that?
Yeah, it's just like a public image. I assume they would go hand in hand because I do use myself to network. I'm not marketing a product exactly, I'm marketing myself.
All right, you testified earlier concerning the contacts with the domestic violence community. When did you begin reading about or studying about domestic violence cycles, typical domestic violence? Was it right after this incident?
I had looked a little bit into it previously, but I didn't go very far. I didn't want to believe that I was going to be stuck in a cycle like that. But once this happened in several groups and people reached out to me and gave me resources, which helped me learn more about what was happening and how I felt and that my feelings were normal, that's when I truly got involved.
Okay. And that would have been in the days after this incident. There was like an enormous outpouring of support for you, correct?
That's correct.
You've made several statements to the media that you want to see John win his fights, but you like to see him get hurt.
Do you have,
You want me to show you an art?
yes, please.
An art? I'm going to come back to that so I don't waste half of our afternoon. Let's go back to the gold fangs. You testified yesterday that you got a discount on them.
Yes, I did.
Had you ever said on a previous occasion that you never mind. I think you said previously you paid for them. When you said you paid for them, you meant paid for them, that you
Yes,
had
I
a
still
discount?
paid for them, yes.
All right. And by paid for them, do you mean with money or via publicity?
I paid for them with money.
Did you use publicity to get a discount?
Yes.
What did you do?
I posted a picture.
As part of a contest?
It was a fake contest, but yes,
I understand, like the
Yes.
winner was predetermined?
yes.
Congratulations on the win.
Thank you.
And what was the picture?
It was a picture with his Instagram name written on like the side of my butt.
And this was, again, with the grills, some, like golden grills or something like that?
Something like that.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. And I'm sorry, it doesn't matter. Remember this back in the day? I apologize. So you don't recall making those statements?
I don't recall making that exact statement.
You did an interview with You did some interviews with MMA sites regarding MMA webcams and TV interviews regarding John's fighting career.
I believe we only did one.
Not the two of you together. You did one separately, just you? You recall that?
For what site was it?
MMA something.
I don't recall.
You did one together.
Yes, we did.
That was the two of you appearing on screen with a radio host, with sort of a radio host interviewing the both of you.
Yes.
All right. And you were talking largely about your matching tattoos.
I don't remember the content.
And you don't remember doing another one alone, saying that you like to see it, you like to see John getting hurt, but you like to see him win?
I don't remember making that exact statement, but it sounds like something I would say jokingly.
And fair enough. And you also did a sole interview. I know you've done several interviews with TMZ, but in that time frame, so this would be before, obviously, August 8th, 2014, fair to say you said relatively the same thing?
I don't remember doing an interview with TMZ at all in that time period.
Okay. You agree that it was something you would at least jokingly say in that time period?
It sounds like something I could potentially say jokingly.
All right. Thank you. 1 second, Your Honor. That's fine. Okay. Detective Lafreniere interviewed you, correct? At the hospital, what you call the voluntary statement?
Yes.
And during that statement, he sort of laid down ground rules with you about being truthful?
Yes, I believe he did.
Sorry? Being truthful.
I believe he did, yes.
And he asked you in that statement whether you had, whether your big lips had been penetrated?
Objection, may I please have a page set?
Okay. He asked you, was there any penetration?
Yes, I believe he did.
And you said no?
That was correct.
And with respect to the same nurse, you know what I mean by the same nurse? Sexual assault nurse examiner?
Yes, yes.
She asked you the same question?
I don't remember her asking me any questions at all.
Okay.
I honestly,
So,
I wasn't completely with it at that time.
I understand. So if I showed you a transcript, it wouldn't even refresh your recollection?
I
because you just
wouldn't
don't
have remember. I wouldn't have remember saying any of it.
Do you doubt that you told her the same thing?
No, I would not. My understanding of penetration was completely different than the legal definition.
Okay. It was only until Ms. Bluth gave you the legal definition that you changed your answer to, yes, he penetrated me in the legal definition?
That is correct.
Nothing further.
Redirect?
What's your understanding of the legal definition now?
Past the big lips.
Okay. When you've been asked those questions, have you explained that when he licked his hand, he wiped your vagina inside the big lips?
I haven't specifically said within the big lips. I didn't know that I would need to specifically testify in which. I got the general area. I would say vagina, but I would never specify between the big lips.
Okay. When he did that, when he licked his hand, where did he wipe?
On my vagina between the big lips.
Okay. When you would have consensual sex and that's what he wanted to do, would the attempt be to lubricate it?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And usually that's done beyond the big lips. Would that be fair?
Yes, that is fair.
Because would there be any point in putting saliva on the outside of the big lips?
No, there wouldn't.
Oh, thank you.
Any recross?
There isn't.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right. We are gonna break for the night. We're gonna start up at 9 tomorrow morning. We don't have hearings in other cases, so we can get an early start. During this recess, you are admonished not to talk or converse among yourselves or with anyone else on any subject connected with this trial, or to read, watch, or listen to any report of or commentary on the trial, or any person connected with this trial, by any medium of information, including without limitation, newspapers, television, the internet, or radio, or to form or express any opinion on any subject connected with this trial until the case is finally submitted to you. Have a good night. See you tomorrow at 9.
All rise. All right, kids, let's go.